Hi everyone. We're gonna get started soon. We're just gonna wait for our activated Thursday guest to join. So yeah, we can just sit tight and wait for her to join. She'll be joining. We'll be starting the official live around 7. Hey everyone, if you're just coming into this live, thank you so much for coming. We're gonna get started around 7. We're waiting for our activated Thursday guest, so if you guys want to stick around for that, she should be joining pretty soon. Hey, if you're just joining, thank you so much for joining our live. Right now, we're just for our activated Thursday guest to join, so just sit tight. So we can just wait for her to come in. To join. Okay, it looks like we're good. Hi, Bay. Is that how you pronounce your name?
It's
Bay?
Beah.
Beah, I'm so sorry.
No, it's fine.
So
I
hi,
can.
I'm Lauren Payne. I work for YAP. I'm on their YAP Activation Hub. So yeah, thank you so much for being one of our guests on Activated Thursday. I'm so excited.
Yeah, I'm excited too.
It's my first time hosting, so bear with me if I'm like.
No, it's fine.
But yeah, I guess we can just if you just want to like quickly introduce yourself, name, grade, where you're from, and all that.
Yeah. So I'm Beah, and I'm part of Fairfield Equity Coalition in Fairfield, Connecticut. And yeah, I mean, I'm a 10th grader at Fairfield, or an 11th grader. Wow, at Fairfield Ludlow. Um, yeah, that's it.
Oh, that's great. And for anyone who doesn't know, hi, I'm Lauren Payne. I work for YAP, and I'll be the host today. So I guess first question is just what's your background, personal story, like how did you get into activism?
So, I mean, I've always wanted to do activism, and I've always been interested in politics and helping people and like society and just all that kind of stuff and being able to be an advocate for others. That's always something I've been interested in. And so I think since from a young age I've always wanted to be able to impact the world positively in some way. And so when FEC started, that was definitely a good way for me to be able to incorporate more of it into my life.
No, that's great. That's great. And can you tell us a little bit more about Fairfield Equity Coalition, like the work you guys do, and how you kind of got introduced to that group?
Yeah. So we started in June of 2020, and we're a youth led organization in Fairfield. And our main goal right now is to try to create a more racially equitable environment in the Fairfield Public School system. So we are a group of 80 to 100 students and alumni ranging from age 15 to 27, I believe. So we're a large group of adults and young adults, and so mainly what we're focusing on is trying to develop and work with the Board of Education in Fairfield to increase the school's ability to be able to work with people of different races and to be able to incorporate that into the curriculum and basically every other facet of the school system, so that we don't have the situation which we have, which is students that feel excluded or like there's racism in their own school and it's not a safe space, and that
Mm-hmm.
what they're being taught isn't necessarily the full truth. So that's what we're overall trying to do. We're trying to cover some of the big things, like even disciplinary actions, and trying to make that more reformed and reconstruct that in a way so it positively impacts all involved and includes them. So just things like that, that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah, thank you. And for all the viewers right now, if you have any questions for Bay or any of the Fairfield Coalition, just make sure you put them in the comment section, and hopefully we can get those answered. But just a quick rundown again. So how exactly did you get involved with Fairfield Future Coalition?
So basically, I mean, it started like very recently, and I've always like I said, I've felt like I wanted to be involved with people and help people, and in any way that I can, like, help the world benefit.
Mm-hmm.
And like since I've become a little bit older, I've been able to realize and take in more than I would or than I was able to when I was younger. And so learning about the actual truths about racism or any other ism
Yeah.
that is going on in the country and the world really makes me angry sometimes. And so, especially after the killing of George Floyd and so many other like Black Americans in this country, I mean, I'm angry that I wasn't doing anything before because I felt like I wanted to, but it didn't seem like there was enough that I could do. And so when Fairfield Equity Coalition started, I was like, this is something I can do. And like, I'm just so happy that I'm able to be a part of it, because I feel like I'm actually able to make change, and like we're doing things that are going to be beneficial for everyone.
No, yeah, I definitely personally relate to that. I know I've been doing some activism and advocacy through my school for a long time, but like more recently 2020, after obviously George Floyd's death and all of those protests, I definitely took a more hands-on and frontline role in a lot of the things going on in my own community. And I think one thing that we find is especially now, students are really looking to get involved, especially in issues that you're tackling. I know in my area it's a big thing,
Yeah.
and where you're at as well. So, could you give any methods or kind of ideas to students how they can combat this? And I see Fairfield Equities in the chat. Hi guys. So yeah, could you give any yeah, some tips or kind of methods that you think other students and viewers can take away for how they get involved into work like this?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm not a professional activist. Like, I don't have a big platform myself, and I'm not someone who personally by myself can organize things. And I think that's the case for a lot of people who want to be activists and can't. And so, what I would suggest is finding other people who feel the same way as you, because I feel like to really make a change, people in power aren't really going to listen to you if you're just by yourself, if you're the only one chanting. So you need to be able to make connections with people, and like even if it's just starting a club at your school, which is a lot in itself. And I know at the two high schools in my town, we have two clubs that are focused on equity in those schools, and Fairfield Equity Coalition is just taking that further in high making a difference. So like start your own club or find a group of people that believe the same things and try to change or have discussions. And yeah, I mean, the only way to really make a difference is to just interact with different people who have different views than you and discuss and learn and share. Yeah, and talk to people who are above you or have some type of power, because
are people who already have those connections. And
Yeah.
oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, finding a space that you think you can do some real change in is definitely important. And
Yeah.
so I know myself personally in different organizations I'm with, it's been definitely a shift moving on to kind of remote activism and moving all your stuff to Zoom and Google Meets. So my question is, how has that been for you in working with Fairfield Equity Coalition? How has that been kind of moving to remote, and how has that like worked for your organization?
Yeah. Well, since we like this Fairfield Equity Coalition wasn't a thing before the pandemic because it really spurred by like George Floyd and the anger that we were all kind of experiencing in a big way, or at least a lot of us. And so we've always been remote. And it's definitely like I'm excited for the day when we can actually like get
Like,
together
yeah,
and not have like online meetings and stuff. And yeah, that's going to be great, but everything is adaptable online, especially since like the youth activism project is about youth and we know technology pretty well, I think, and
yeah,
so it's definitely, especially if you're an organization or a group of people that is younger, you can definitely do it. I mean, you can do anything. I mean,
yeah.
online.
I would argue almost that, I'm a part of some organizations that have really taken off during the pandemic, but I'm also a part of things that, we used to meet like in person and do in person lobby days and all this stuff. So I definitely miss that. But I would argue that, it being in a pandemic, it's a lot more accessible right now because everything is online and you're able to join these meetings via Zoom and whatnot. So how do you think like, this kind of these different organizations being online has affected accessibility?
I mean, it definitely has greatly impacted. Like, now that I'm thinking about it, I mean, it really is amazing because, like I said before, we have ranging ages of like 15 to 27-year-olds in this group of current students and alumni from Fairfield Public Schools. So these are people who have moved on. Like, we have people as far as California, who are able to participate because it's online. And if we didn't do that, a lot of the alumni probably wouldn't be able to join in and participate and give their experience and um, like just position and view. So it's definitely been beneficial for those alumni who don't live here anymore who still can give their input.
No, definitely, that's amazing. I know, YAP does lots of work nationally,
Mm-hmm.
be able to do it and be as accessible as we are without it being really remote. So that's amazing that your membership is really that widespread. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, can you tell me like a little bit about any like recent projects or campaigns that your group has been working on?
Yeah, so a big one, just like we're kind of in, well, it's the end, but it's also the beginning of a lot of new. So the main goal since we've started, or since I've started working with the coalition, the main goal of the coalition itself is to create a report about what we can do to change Fairfield Public Schools to be more racially equitable. So this report contains 10 actionable changes about various things, about structure, about hiring teachers of different or teachers and staff of different races, incorporating like primary text materials of the people who experience historical events and that kind of thing. And like I said before, changing disciplinary actions to be more reformed and more beneficial to all who are involved. So it's 120 something, 30 something maybe page report, and it's really amazing. Like, I can't even explain, but
I'm sorry to cut you, but like, what's the work involved in creating that? Do you guys have different teams working on different sections, or like, what's
yeah,
that?
yeah, our own coalition is made up of, I think, maybe 7 or 8 different like committees. So I'm on civic engagement, but we all kind of help each other out. Like when one of our groups was like the main group that's drafting the report, they needed other people to contribute. So I was able to contribute and start writing the conclusion, even though I'm not necessarily part of the group that's doing that. So it's definitely a good kind of group environment.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so that report, we spent a like not me in particular, but our whole commit or coalition spent so much time working on that and drafting it, and they sent out two different surveys, which is what the report is based upon, one for students and alumni and one for teachers. So you got different perspectives on what was happening in school, asking questions that were not pushing you one way or another, that were simply asking about your experience with racism, or there were specific questions about whether you experienced it or whether you saw it happen, or and it's all anonymous. So those statistics and seeing like how many people have seen racism happen, or quoting certain experiences of real things that have happened to real people in Fairfield Public Schools, and being able to use that as a jumping off point to support why this is so necessary, was a big thing. And that was one of the hurdles we had to jump through, was those surveys, because like I said, we're a youth-led organization. Like,
Mm-hmm.
we're relatively young. So things like, we had to send out a second batch of surveys because our first ones were invalid, because the Board of Ed needs to approve it first in order to look it over. So we had to go through that, and we had to reform the report because we had new statistics. So there's things like that that go wrong, but you just have to keep going.
Very true, very true.
Yeah, so actually last night was Lanesia, our president, and Ian Layton is the editor-in-chief, and they presented to the Board of Education last night, and it went really successfully, and they were really open and wanting to make this change happen. And obviously the most um, like parts of it take up a lot of money and time, and obviously those resources are kind of depleted now that COVID is here, and they have to focus on that too. So I mean, that's definitely something that they're worried about, but they want to work with us, and we're going to form a committee team that will keep us in contact with them continuously, so that we can have a relationship and make sure that they don't just see this report and then forget about us. We're going to make sure that we're actually making a change.
No, yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, my next question was gonna be like, what are some, you've kind of touched on this already, like some of the different barriers and kind of um things you face with trying to get this thing passed. And I know you touched a little bit on like having to do the survey again and doing all of that. Has there
Yeah.
been kind of challenges your group has faced when trying to like do all of your different campaigns and whatnot?
Yeah, so definitely the thing about the surveys, which is just a matter of us not being aware of the specific policies and that you have to go through in order to work with a school. And
Yeah.
just, so that was definitely something that affected us, and it took a lot of what we report was, and of course that has impacts based on what they're doing, of like staff and all that kind of stuff. So that was definitely a hurdle to jump through, especially for those who are higher leaders in the coalition. So yeah, that was definitely a hurdle, but they just kept going. And like, when you get something like that, you can't just like stop when you're fighting for something that's so important. So I feel like that's something that I would also say is kind of important if you want to become a better activist, is you can't just stop when something doesn't work.
Yeah, when this happened.
Around it. And another thing is, like in some of the meetings that Lanesia, our president, has had with Mike Cummings, or who is he's the superintendent of our school district, and some of the principals of the high schools. Like, one of the principals had a little bit of a pushback to um, the
The work you guys are doing?
the work that we're doing, and not that it's not important, but like some people who are higher up in the school system feel that they're doing an awesome job and like they're doing everything they can. And even if you're doing everything you can, there's still more to be done. That doesn't,
Yeah, very true.
there's a lot of work to happen. And we're not going to stop until it does happen because this is something that we're all passionate and we think is important. And it's a way that we can be, like, we're, like, I never thought I could actually do something or change something, but being able to be a part of this and contribute to like change, especially on racial equality, which is something that's really important, is, I mean, it's awesome. It's amazing. I'm really proud to be able to do that.
Definitely. And I know myself and other activists like where I am, and I know like just like probably across the country have been doing similar kind of work within like just education reform. That's just such a big topic right now. And lots of people have different experiences of trying to get things done and work with their own board of education and school system. So can you talk about you touched on this a little bit. Can you talk about how the experience has been like not collaborating but kind of in a way working with your board of education and trying to get them your survey, get them your report and all those different stuff. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, so the superintendent has been really supportive of what we want to do. He believes it's really important as well. So, I mean, it's been great for like our coalition to be able to work with him, and we definitely want to form a relationship with them and create a committee that we can work together on, as I said before, and make sure that we're holding them accountable and they're holding us accountable because, I mean, like us together, like they have the knowledge of policy and budget and all that kind of stuff that's typical for an education system, and we have the knowledge of what is really needed, what the people want, and what is going to be sufficient in order to achieve racial equity and what challenges we need to overcome regardless of whether it might seem possible or not because they're necessary. So like together we can have a better understanding and formulate better projects and changes into the system than we would have without that. So it's been really great. Although there's like some challenges along the way with like specifics of, like I said, the survey or like budget, it's definitely better to work with them than work against them.
No, that's amazing. I know. That's great that you do have a school system and like your board of education is really working with you guys. That is amazing that they're able to aid that. But I
Yeah.
know just in the midst of the pandemic and just especially after everything that's been happening this whole week, it can be extremely hard for student activists just to be super engaged and just continue their work with like all the other responsibilities that you have just as a student in general. So like I mean, I guess what motivates you to keep going and like why do you continue to do what you do?
Yeah, I mean definitely. I I feel that all the time. I'm just like a normal teenager like everyone else. I have a lot going on. I'm stressed out. So I feel like if there's something that's super important to you, it's going to be at the top of your list. And it's going to be something that you're going to keep on wanting to do. If it's something you're passionate about, then like why would you walk away from it? So I feel like that's kind of why I stay motivated is and also is that and also seeing everything around me and what's happening. And I mean, I like to see the news. I pay
Yeah.
attention to what's going on and sometimes it's bad for me, but um, it's better than, in my opinion, it's better than not knowing what's going on.
No, most definitely, most definitely.
When I see things like what happened yesterday, it just makes me so angry, and that's what motivates me to want to speak about it. And I'm sure my teachers are kind of frustrated that I'm always raising my hand to talk about it whenever we have the chance.
Same here,
But
same here.
like I can't keep my mouth shut. It's just I can't do it.
I mean, I think like we need students like you and just who are just really wanting to push and have the conversations because the worst thing that we can do is to stay silent.
Yeah.
That's the worst possible thing we can do in situations like this. So, having students who are just like you, who are just passionate and want to have these conversations, I think is so important. And I just want to emphasize again, if anyone has any questions, just put in the chat so we can ask those and get those answered. But yeah, I guess because you said the coalition was formed mostly in the summer, and that's kind of when it took off. It was formed in pandemic, and more recently you've just gotten involved and just kind of reflect on the past work that you've done with them and that you've done with activism in general. Have you taken a moment to reflect and how do you feel about the work that you've done so far and what do you hope to accomplish in 2021?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we've achieved like a great amount. I don't think when we started, because like when the coalition started, I don't think we were expecting to get to this like huge point. I think it was the second meeting, the second ever meeting of the coalition was when I joined. And there was like a good amount of people there, but it just kept growing each meeting. And being able to have those older, not like old, but like young people who are a few years ahead of me in their life and seeing how passionate they were about this really inspired me to also be passionate about it. And so just the whole environment of being in this coalition has really made me proud. And um, like I said, we were working with the Board of Ed right now. We just had the meeting yesterday with them where we presented the report. And so going into 2021, I think what we really hope as a coalition to achieve is working with them and forming a specific committee together so that we can make a change. And it's not going to happen overnight. Like, we know that and we recognize that, but it's also not going to happen by itself either.
Very
So
true, very true.
step in and do something when we can. Yeah.
Yeah. So to the students in your area, how do they go about getting involved in the coalition and the work that you're doing in general?
So on our Facebook, we have a link tree where it will lead you to our website. And on our website, we have a bunch of different things. You can join as if you're a student or alumni, or you can access our weekly newsletter from our website as well. And that way you can see what we're up to if you're not a student or alumni, but you still want to find out what we're doing. You can also follow all our socials and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I mean, we're very here on social media, so
That's good. That's important.
yeah, you'll definitely get some content out of that. But if you are wanting to join as a member and you're a student or alumni of Fairfield Public Schools, then yeah, head to our website and there's a form for you to fill out there.
That's cool. That's cool. And for people who possibly are watching this, and just for other student and young people in general, what is your advice to them and those students who want to get involved into advocacy and activism?
I mean, I think what I would say is like take a look around you, like around your town and state and country and like just around the world, and see what inspires you, or even mostly what angers you. Like what makes you angry, what makes you want to do something. You don't know what you should do, but you just want to do something about it.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's when you become an activist, is when you recognize that and then you say, okay, I realize I want to do something. And that's kind of what I went through earlier this year. Like I've always been very passionate about that. Like I said before, passionate about human rights and social justice, but like the killing of George Floyd and seeing like Black creators or people of color saying like what white people can do is educate themselves and like call out other white people and recognize their um, what they do wrong, or like I'll see something or I'll hear someone say something, I'll be like obviously before I'd see the blatant stuff and I'd be like, that's racist, but
Mm-hmm.
like I'm thinking, I'm like, am I doing that? Is that racist? Like, am I actually doing that and fixing it and catching myself? And that's definitely been something that I've loved to see happen in myself and in others, is just educating yourself and realizing that you're racist. You're probably racist and you don't know it.
That's an amazing. Sorry to cut you off. That's such an amazing point. And like, I know in my own life and like in my own schools, like we have that conversation all the time. Like, you like you said, you probably are, and it's up to you to like check yourself and just like look at your own implicit bias and do the work yourself. So for you to kind of just be so self-aware and like that not only helps your activism, but like it's so like refreshing just to hear that. Like it's amazing.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, just it's amazing.
It was definitely refreshing for myself when I started thinking about what am I doing to be racist and what am I doing to be anti-racist and how can I improve myself? And then that makes me want to improve others. So definitely being a part of Fairfield Equity Coalition has really enhanced that. And it's great to be, again, like I said before, of people who want to do this and want to be activists and want to make a change.
You know, definitely. But yeah, thank you so much for one being our guest tonight. You are amazing, the work you do and just how open and honest you are. I loved speaking to you. I hope we can connect later just because you're just so amazing.
Oh,
And thank you so much for taking the time to do this. And thank you to everyone who was watching the live and joining. If you have any questions, we'll be posting this. So if you have any questions, we can hopefully answer those soon. And yeah, thank you again for agreeing to do this. It was so amazing to talk to you.
awesome questions. I really enjoyed it. And anyone who's watching, you should follow Fairfield Equity Coalition.
Yeah, definitely follow them. And if you're in that area, make sure to get involved with them. And we'll be tagging all of their information below so you can get involved if you're in that area.
Yay.
Yeah, thank you so much again. This was so amazing.
Thank you. Bye, Lauren.
Bye.